Hello and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. It's time for us to start our seed potatoes. Hi everyone, it's time to start seed potatoes again. It is early April. I am just under 4 weeks out before my last frost date, which is the end of April. And I like to get my seed potatoes in as early as I possibly can so I can get 2 harvests throughout the year. And I've been doing this for a few years now, and I have been able to fully self-sustain the family on what I'm growing in the garden. Last year, I was able to harvest over 100 pounds of potatoes and replant some of those potatoes to help me reduce the amount of seed potatoes that I needed to buy. So this year, I bought fewer seed potatoes, but I'm hoping to get an even bigger harvest. The first thing I want to do is talk to you about the different potatoes that I am going to be starting today. I am going to be starting, let me get my little notes so I can tell you a little bit about them. Yeah, I try to be prepared for you. So I am going to be starting some early, mid, and late season potatoes. For the early potatoes, I am going to start a Yukon Gold. Here's a picture of Yukon Gold. Yukon Gold always does very good for me in my garden. Yukon Gold has excellent storage. It has a buff skin as well as a light yellow flesh. Sometimes the Yukon Gold will have a little bitty pink eyes on the potatoes. It's just a good all-around potato. Yukon Golds can get really big though, so I like to plant as few potatoes as possible and get as large of a harvest as possible. So that's the only early potato that I'm growing, and early potatoes are 55 to 70 days. For a mid-season standpoint, I am going to do Kennebec, which I brought back last year after I stopped growing it for many years, and it did amazing. Kennebec also has, I think, excellent storage. Buff skin, white flesh, and the plants get really large. The Kennebec potatoes, and here's the pictures by the way, are kind of long tubers, oblong tubers. Mid-season, 70 to 90 days. Kennebec, I'm hoping is going to be the one that sustains me for the long haul. Another mid-season is Nicola. Here's a picture of Nicola. I'm just going to have to hold my papers down. Nicola, I grew it for the first time last year. I loved it. It's a gold skin and a gold flesh potato. It's oblong. It's immune to viruses and is resistant to blight. And one of the other things I found out about the Nicola is that it has a low glycemic index. So in other words, it's not as bad for your blood sugar as some of the other potatoes. So, you know, if you're diabetic or if you're trying to watch that blood glucose levels and that kind of stuff, it's a better potato for you. So I didn't know that. I found out about it and I thought I'd just share just in case there are some people who love potatoes, but you know that's not the best thing for your diet. I'm also going to do Purple Viking, and that is my /1 favorite potato. I love Purple Viking. Here are the pictures as always. It's that purplish, pinkish splashed skin, and then when you cut into it, it has that bright white flesh. It's more firm than some other potatoes, and it does excellent when I'm canning potatoes. It is my absolute favorite potato. And last year I got one of my best harvests ever with that one. And then that's it for the mid-season. And then I'm going to move over into the late season potatoes. And for the late season, that's 90 to roughly 110 days. Now, when I say mid or early, mid, and late season potatoes, at the end of the day, your potatoes will tell you when they're ready. When they die back and they fall over and they had already bloomed, if they bloomed, once they die back, they're telling you they're ready. So these are just estimates, but it kind of gives you an idea of when to expect a harvest. But for the late season potatoes, I'm growing two. I actually had a halfway decent harvest last year with some russet potatoes. And these were seed potatoes that I had just harvested from the year before. I didn't buy any, and they did halfway decent. And now that I'm planting in meadow raised beds, I'm hoping that that's going to improve my russet potato harvest, because when I plant a russet, I want a big potato. So we are going to try cannella this year as our russet potato. I've never grown it before, but this would be the first year for that one. And the other late season potato for us is the only red potato, if you want to call it that. I call the purple Viking kind of a red potato too, but the only red potato I'm going to grow is Desiree. And it is great for like salads, boiling, mashing. That's what it's good for. It has a creamy yellow flesh on the inside. The skin is more rosy versus that deep dark red. I've never grown it before, but I haven't been having great luck with my red potatoes, and I wanted to try something different. So that's why we're going with the Desiree. And those are the 6 types of potatoes I have growing here. I'm also going to plant some of the potatoes from last year. So I don't always know what those potatoes are, because once they're all shriveled up looking like this, I'm not sure. Is this Eva? Is this a Yukon Gold? I'm not sure what it is. I can kind of get an idea of what it might be, but I'm not 100% positive. So there will be some of those mixed in as well. And I still have plenty of potatoes from last year. I don't have any more fresh potatoes, because these are what my fresh potatoes look like now. But I have tons of canned potatoes. So we're still not buying it from the store. We're going to keep on trying to be self-sufficient, and then every year order fewer and fewer seed potatoes. Now, I got all of my seed potatoes this year from the Maine Potato Lady. I went to their website this morning to just double check so I could make sure I had my information right on all the potatoes. And y'all, they're out of stock on almost everything. So you really need to order your seed potatoes early, because when you get to this time of year, you're left to whatever is available. But anyway, those are the potatoes that we're getting ready to start. For some of these, I cut them to get more seed potatoes. And so you just need to make sure that you have an eye on every potato that you cut in half. So if I cut a little piece off, it needs to have an eye on that little piece. And so I cut some, not all, and then I let them dry out, so the piece where you cut it kind of hardens over. If I tried to plant this before that I did that, I could have the potatoes rot. When I'm doing my potatoes, I like to use certain things as fertilizers and amendments for my potatoes. I like to use Happy Frog as my potting soil, and I am going to use Happy Frog in this bed. There's already Happy Frog in here. There was some leaf mulch on top. I've kind of threw as much of it as I could to the side, but now we're going to get the Happy Frog in. We're going to get some compost in and some fertilizers. For the fertilizers, I am going to use, and my bag is busted, so I'm going to have to tell you and put a picture up here. We're going to use bone meal, and I'm going to use Dr. Earth granular fertilizer. If I had some blood meal, which is very high in N, or nitrogen, is for green, the green parts of your plants, I would use some of that as well, but I don't have any right now. Bone meal is super high in, I think, P. My bag is all busted up. It's one thing when you order stuff online, sometimes they send you busted bags. So my bone meal is a 412-0. 412-0 bone meal. So it's high in P. If you think about N, P, and K, that's the big 3 hitters when you're dealing with your fertilizers. N is nitrogen, and that's what makes everything nice and green. P is usually for root crops, and K is usually like everything is all around. And so when I'm planting root crops, I like to put bone meal in as well. And then a general granular fertilizer is the other thing that I'm going to use. And I don't have any blood meal, which would be the N. So we'll just have to live off of the N that's here. My happy frog also has nutrition and microorganisms and mycorrhizals and all that kind of stuff in it as well. It is a zero point 0.3, where is it? It's on here. A 0.3, 0.3, 0.05. So it has some nutrition in it as well. So but between the happy frog, the compost, and these other amendments, we're going to get this bed together. Now this bed is a Vego garden. I think it's 17-inch metal raised bed. And I have a lot of Vego garden beds now. I'm moving into these type of raised beds versus the wooden raised beds because I like the height of it. I hate having to bend all the way down to these little raised beds, the wooden ones behind me. And I've gotten better harvest in these beds. Now, it could just be the happy frog. It could be the fact that it's better watering. And right now, I mean, I'm working in a lake. We got so much rain last night, and we got another like 4 inches of rain coming over the next couple of days. So there's no way I can plant in these beds that are only 6 inches off the ground. But I can plant in a bed that's 17 inches off the ground, and I don't have to worry about waterlogging anything that I'm putting in the ground. I don't want my potatoes to rot in the ground. So that might be the reason. I'm not sure, but this is what we're going to do. So let me get my gloves back on, and let's get these potatoes in the bed. Last year I was able to get 2 harvests out of this bed throughout the season. And that's my hope for this year as well. I'm giving it a whole bag. Woo, y'all, I am in the, well, I want to say in the mud, but I'm not. But I got my little wet weather boots on to keep my feet dry. And there's more rain coming, so I want to get something planted before that rain gets here. I'm off this week so I can get the first things planted. And wouldn't you know, it's going to rain pretty much every day while I'm off. That's just my luck. All right, now I'm going to get the compost in here. This is organic land and sea compost. Now my neighbor has some compost. We share a compost bin, but it's too wet. I'm not going back there to get that compost. So we'll use the bag stuff. I buy the bag stuff when it's on sale. And now my bone meal, which is leaking all over the place. I got to use it from the bottom of the bag. I could just put the bone meal right where I'm going to plant, but I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle it all over the whole top and mix it in. This bone meal bag is 25 pounds. It's a bit heavy. For the granular fertilizer, I'm going to do the same thing. I wasn't trying to put all of that in that one spot. And then I'm going to just mix it all in. Now I'm going to do very little hilling up of my potatoes. I will probably add a little soil to them once they break the ground a little bit, but I'm not going to do a whole bunch of hilling up of the potatoes. Now I hear if you do that, you'll get more potatoes. Y'all, I ain't got time to do that. But I had a good harvest last year anyway without doing that. But we will hill just a little bit, not much. So now the bed is all ready. So the only thing we got left to do, now find my book. Ooh, y'all, it's soggy wet, soggy. I need to write down in the book that I'm starting my potatoes today. So this is my garden journal. And for the potatoes, I'm putting today's date in because I'm starting them today. Everything that I use, y'all, there are links below. Anything and everything I use, I will have a link below for you. And now I got to find my plant markers. So I don't have those. I'll be back. Well, I guess today is just the day of forgetfulness because I can't find my marker. For the 6 different varieties that I'm going to grow here, I'm going to put them between 6 and 10 inches apart. I really want to say more like between 6 and 8 inches apart. I know that I need to put the potatoes that are shorter on this end and the ones that get taller on the back end. I want to put my purple Viking back where I had it last year, which was right here, because they did amazing. Purple Viking's going to go right there. What else is a small to medium plant? Does it say Yukon Gold is a medium plant, so it's got to go in the middle. Kennebec is a large plant, so it's going to go back here somewhere. Nicola doesn't say, so we'll put it here. Russet, which I can't make a name tag. So let's gonna put this here, oops, here. And let's squeeze the rest of these in here somehow. All right. So I know Kennebec gets tall, so we're gonna put it in the back. And some of my Kennebec potatoes, they got a little moldy. And hopefully that's not gonna hurt anything as we're planting here. When you're putting your potatoes in, you want the eyes facing up. I know y'all see me on this little wheelie toy here. I can't tell you where to get it. Everybody always asks. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. It's old. It's probably about 20 years old. It's a step 2. I was told it's a garden tool or a garden seat. My neighbor said it was a kid's toy. I don't know. All I know is that they don't make this particular design anymore. I can't find it anywhere, but it is from the Step 2 company. All right, let me get back to planting over here. We are going for our russet potatoes next. I am planting these, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches deep. Y'all, I really hope we get some russet potatoes. I hope so. Nice, big, bacon potatoes. I need to mark my potatoes before I put them in the ground because I think I'm going over too far and I need to make sure these fit. Let me mark before I do anything else. So that's only 2 rows and I'm way down here already. Yeah, I'm way, way, way off. Okay, we got these laid out. Let me get them in the ground. Oh, there's worms in here. That's a good thing. We need worm life. All right, let me quit playing around. Let's get these things in here. Okay, y'all, I got this bed in. I got 6 different types of potatoes, everything from early to mid-season to late season potatoes. I got them about 4 inches underneath the soil here, and we don't have to worry about frost. So I'm 3-ish, almost just under 4 weeks out from my last frost. But by the time these potatoes start sprouting up and the little green leaves come up, I'm going to be at least 2 weeks in. I don't see, well, I take it back. There's frost in the forecast in about 3 days, or I should say weather below 32 degrees in 3 days, just at night. But my potatoes are protected. They're under the soil, so we should be fine. And there is a lot of rain coming in, so I'm not going to water these in. I'm going to let Mother Nature take care of watering these potatoes. But I also started one other bed, so let me show you that bed as well. Y'all, I tell you, I got standing water everywhere. Standing water. You might not be able to see it, but there's water standing all through this space. So I can't put anything in these beds right now because they would be waterlogged. But I can in my metal raised beds. Now this isn't a 17-inch raised bed. It is only an 11-inch raised bed. And I had a few extra potatoes, so I started some Desiree here. And I started some of last season's potatoes right next to it. So I have, 12 potatoes in the back half of this bed, and we'll put something else down on that end because the potatoes are going to be here for a little while, and we'll put them in the back because they'll be taller than any other vegetables that I put in this bed. I got potatoes in, what should I say, the first potatoes in. I will be adding potatoes every week for some time as I get my potatoes in my grow bags and my plastic pots, and I'll stick a potato anywhere, y'all. And I still got to get potatoes over at the neighbors as well. But that's it. That's the first potatoes in for the year. That's what we're working on today. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, giving me a thumbs up, turning on notifications, and letting your friends know about it. Until next time, and I hope there will be a next time that you hang out at Kim's Cozy Corner with me. Bye.